over the tail half of last year about my optimism for people, for freedom, for business, for investment, for capitalism, if RFK, until he teamed up with Trump, or Trump's team won the election, and my general concern if they didn't. And now they've won. Inauguration hasn't happened yet, obviously.
Yeah, that.
But
there's that.
There's that. We won't. I know your take on that. We have to get there.
Yeah, we have to get there. That has to be done.
You can see that all of these people that have been either hiding or felt like they couldn't speak up or have a voice, because they might get canceled or arrested or have their businesses pulled apart or whatever the case may be, they're all starting to rise. You're seeing everybody start to rise. And then in tandem with that, you're seeing people who were acting in a corrupt manner starting to backpedal and try to clean up their mess.
It's unbelievable to watch. I think the rising up, that's a good word. This rising up.
They're rising up. And that's what happens when you push too hard in one direction. And I told my son, who was very upset about the direction things were going 2 years ago in a different story we've shared one time, I said, don't worry, when you push people too hard one way, they end up self-correcting back into the middle and pushing again. And you saw that with the election results this year. People had enough.
Oh, they were burnt.
They had been pushed too far. It was a landslide. It caught some people off guard. It didn't catch you or me off guard.
Nope.
People had enough. And then guess what happened? Over the last month, the Canadians have watched what happened, and they've said, we've had enough.
Another stunning development with Trudeau just magically going, I'm not going to do. Politicians almost never say, I'm not going to rerun unless they're really old and they're going to retire. This guy's like 45 years old, right? They never do that, man. What's interesting also, Aaron? 2 weeks after his meeting with Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
Yep.
What do you think he said?
I think Trump said what he says to every president, dictator, communist leader. This is going to be America first.
The horror. How dare you put America first?
I'm done placating you. You're going to treat us better than everybody else if you want our business. If not, we're going to put tariffs on you. He jokingly told him he was going to make him the 51st state, and maybe if he was lucky, make him the governor.
Funny. It was so funny. I have to tell you, I'm not. You and I aren't big Trump fans on the way he communicates. We'd like to see a little bit more grace,
a little more class,
right? But that was absolutely Saturday Night Live hilarious.
It was hilarious. Let's be honest, it's hilarious, right? But
don't call him Little Justin or something. Little Justin, your life would be better if you were the 52nd state in the union or whatever he said.
Well, and the problem with humanity is we're always so focused on progress that we very quickly forget the things that people did negatively, not far after it happened. We kind of just want to move forward and focus on proactive evolvement, getting results. Let's not forget, Elon Musk reserved the domain name liar.com and forwarded it to Justin Trudeau's Facebook profile mid-COVID. Because he was saying to him, you are a liar.
Yep.
Which was also one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
That was savage. You're the one that told me about that. We did it. We talked about that on a show way back in 2022-ish, I think.
Absolutely.
That is savage. Man, so well deserved.
It was so well deserved. He was acting so dictator-esque in that time frame that it was stunning. It was way worse than America in Canada.
Aaron,
way worse.
As I said when we opened the show, dear North America, you just watched the attempted installation of communism in the form of Justin Trudeau in the last 5 years. When he seized bank accounts for peaceful protesting, the truckers, it was over. You are watching a communist in plain sight. Over. Took their money.
And that's where I want to get.
Peaceful protest, by the way. No violence.
As he's on his way out, let's not forget some of these things. The truckers, which I will say to my Canadian friends and my Canadian family up there.
And you are Canadian.
Because I am Canadian. The truckers in Canada are the ones that turned the tides on the entire COVID narrative the way it was going.
That's right.
The tides had not been turned until they got together, banded together, circled Ottawa, and started laying on their horns in perpetuity and said, we are not leaving until you pull this boot off our neck. And then what ended up happening is the truckers in America started to band together and they started heading for DC. And then all of a sudden, all the governments pulled back and went, uh-oh, we've pushed too far. This is about to get out of hand very, very quickly. But in that time frame, Trudeau seized the bank accounts of the truckers to try and choke them out. And then when some people started to create GoFundMe accounts to support these people
shut down GoFundMe,
they seized their bank accounts. This was some of the
most... And yet still some don't see what you just said. It's past tense fact.
Past tense fact. And one of the most illegal, corrupt, hurtful, unconstitutional things that I've ever seen in my life. And so when you look at these different elements and then you factor in, just super poor economic plans,
they're socialist plans, Aaron.
Super high taxes.
You're implementing socialist plans on top of the censorship and the stealing of bank accounts.
When you factor in, listen to this, Andrew, when you factor in the income tax rate, the corporate tax rate, and all the other hidden and hidden taxes in Canada right now, the effective tax rate's like 71%.
It's insane.
So
I have genuinely felt so bad for Canadians, and I know a lot of them, you being the one I know the most, obviously, but I know when I deal with a lot of Canadians on a regular basis, and I've genuinely felt horrible for them. I've watched their country basically just become wrapped in communism. They leapfrog socialism. They were doing Biden and Harris were installing socialism. They got close to communism here, but they fully went in the door in Canada. Clearly,
it's so crazy, and I could go on for hours and hours. So why all of a sudden is he resigning? Because much like Zuckerberg, I think, was emboldened by Trump, was emboldened by the new group, emboldened by Elon Musk, the Canadians have now become emboldened again by this movement, by this shift. And Trudeau knew he was going to get wrecked. And his whole party said, you just need to leave.
16% approval rating in the end. 16%, Aaron. 16%. And by the way, that's the media saying 16%. So cut it in half. It's probably under 10.
It's an
absolute
stunning disaster.
I want to go back to something you said about not forgetting, because I don't like to forget. And I think that I always say America has the shortest memory in the world. I mean, 9/11 happened, and I feel like we were back to normal in a month. It's crazy, right?
Let's not forget the three buildings that just fell in a hole.
But never forget what you just said. We've never seen a leader of the free world steal people's money from their bank accounts for peacefully protesting. Because remember, again, they went against their narrative. So this comes back to what I said. It all ties back to free speech and First Amendment, because they were saying, hey, listen, we're not seeing enough evidence we're not seeing enough evidence, nor are we interested in taking on the risk of an experimental vaccine that has never been deployed on human beings before. Let me say that again. That has never been deployed on human beings before. We don't have enough data. We don't have enough evidence. We would like to opt out. We are going to stand against the mandate. That's what this was about. They stood against the mandate. The truckers stood against the mandate.
It wasn't just the vaccinations. It was the full lockdowns of course it was everybody.
Yes, of course it was the lockdowns for sure. I thought that was obvious, right? So it was the lockdowns plus the mandates on top of the lockdowns. That was all peaceful. So are you saying that they're not allowed to have a voice? You're going to take their money out of their bank accounts because you don't like their voice. Do I have that about right? Yes. Okay. So there you go. Don't forget.